to make our mini pumpkins, you will need some scissors. I recommend a stitch marker, a round counter. I use a fidget toy. For your yarn, you'll some polyfill. For your yarn, you'll need like half of a skein, probably not even that much, of your orange or whatever color you want to make your pumpkin. So like 12 to 15 yards. Then if you want to make like a stem in a brown, 12-inch piece. And then if you want to make a leaf or a curl vine off of it, so a green, and you'll need like 30 inches of that color. With our pumpkin color, you don't need to leave a very long tail, so like 3 to 4 inches, and then you'll create your slip knot. So taking your working yarn over that tail side to create a loop, and then pull up your loop through that loop. Pulling on the tail is going to tighten your knot, and then adjusting the working yarn will make your loop bigger or smaller. Because this is a mini pumpkin, we want to keep our loops quite small and tight, so 1 finger's width. That's our first one. We're going to chain on another one, so there's 2. That is going to be our foundation chain. So now our first round, we're going to knit 2 so that they're going in the opposite direction away from us. Like so. And then we're going to rotate it so this tail is going to come over to the right side. Take your working yarn over top of the slip knot and then pull up 2 loops on this other side. So we end up with 4 like that, and that's our first round. Now we're going to probably start using our stitch marker. We're going to knit 1 and increase all the way around so we end up with 8 loops. So knit 1. The increases might be a little bit tricky. They are a little bit tight to pull through, but just between that loop there should be between those 2 loops there should be a space. You can pull up another loop. And then through this piece that went over the slip knot. One and then increase. And you're going to end on an increase. And like I said, you should have 8 loops at the end. So just take a minute to adjust, make sure everything's nice and even. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our second round. Now the rest of this pumpkin is super simple. We're just going to knit those 8 for 4 more rounds, or 32 loops in total if you want to do it that way. I usually just use my stitch marker and go round by round because I have kids and I usually get a question or distracted in the middle of knitting. So I do find it's easier to just keep the stitch marker in and then have my round counter. And I know where I've left off if I have to put my project down for a quick second. Another tip with the mini is you want to make sure you're bringing your loops together, like keeping them nice and close as you're knitting. So instead of keeping the loop over here and taking my working yarn through like this and leaving a lot of slack in between, I want to take my loop to this loop nice and close and tight and then pull through. Okay, so it's starting to round, and this is our last round. Then you're going to cut a 8 to 12 inch tail. I usually like to leave myself a lot so that if I don't know, if I have a problem closing, I have a lot, but that probably is a lot. So maybe closer to the 8-inch length. If you want to stuff a little bit now and then pull it through, I just find that when I put my stuffing in, it tends to fall all over the place. So I'm going to close my loops off now, and then I also don't run the risk of pulling any of these because they're so small. If you pull one through, it's a little bit easier. Like, you can pull them through easier. So all the way around from inside to outside the loops with the yarn tail. Don't pull tight yet. And then now I'd add my stuffing, and then I'm going to pull tight. So I'm going to add my stuffing, and then we'll pull it tight. So I have got it stuffed. I'm going to pull this closed gently, nice and tight, and I'm going to take this yarn tail and go from the middle back out, and then you create this loop, take the tail through the loop, pull it tight, and I ideally do that twice through the same area, and then you can trim this or just tuck it away. Tuck it away. I need to use my scissors. It's very tight. There we go. So I personally find that I'm going to use this side that I closed off as the top, and that's where I'm going to put my stem and my vine and my leaf, or my little corkscrew, I guess you'd call it. It's more of a vine than a leaf. And this is the bottom, but if whatever side you want to be the top and the bottom is up to you. So we'll move on to first the stem. So I did actually make a little bit of a smaller pumpkin. I was trying to make another one with this, and I didn't have enough of this yarn. So this is actually only 3 rounds of the 8 after I increased to 8. So you can actually make an even smaller one. I still think I prefer this size just for, I don't know, aesthetic reasons. Anyways, to add the stem, you're going to find pretty much your top center, and you're going to pull up a loop, and you're going to leave a good sized tail so that we can tie this all away. And then you're going to chain one more, cut a 4 to 6 inch tail, pull it through that last chain. Now you're going to take this yarn tail down into the pumpkin through the opposite way, like so. So now we're going to take this yarn tail, and you're going to have to go through not the pumpkin but the stem. If you go through the pumpkin, you're going to undo the stem. So go through the stem, and then go down into where that, now you can go through where that yarn tail is, from that side to this side where this other one is, tie it off, and then tuck it away. So this one might look a little awkward just because it is a smaller pumpkin. And I don't know how the vine would look. It would look maybe okay, but that is, then I just adjust like any of the pieces sticking out or anything like that. So there is, it kind of looks funny being that small. Again, I would prefer to make it this size. We are going to make the vine next and attach it to our stem. So in order to make this, I will take and leave probably like a 6 to 8 inch tail. I'll take my 2 fingers and I'll take this to the base of those 2 fingers, and I'm going to wrap around here. So there's like 1, 2, probably going to try for at least 6 to 7 wraps. So I'm at 4, 5, 6. I'm going to do 6. So then I'm going to take that and I'm going to squish it all together and put it onto my thumb. And we're going to cut this tail. So again, it's about 6 to 8 inches. Take this tail through the coil that you're holding with your thumb and your finger that way, and then take this yarn tail at the top and take it down the opposite way. Now you will lose a few coils as we pull tight, but you want to pull tight, tight, tight. Oops. And just kind of adjust. Your coils as we pull. So sometimes I will get ones like this where the coils are all pretty similar in size, and then other times I will get coils like this where it's smaller on one end and bigger on the other end, which I think adds kind of a nice variety. So this would be the side that I'm going to leave not attached. So you still want to trim it up and then burn the end on the side that's going to be out. So you can either just burn it and cover this end, leave it as like a little vine piece, or you can just tuck it away in there. So you can see the different coils. Now I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to put it onto this pumpkin. So I usually like to find a spot in the stem that I can go through. So right there, bring it in. And then I'm just going to go through the stem again. Creating the loop, and then take the yarn tail through that loop as I pull tight. And you can do that again. And then I'm just going to tuck this down into my pumpkin on the side that the leaf is on, and that is, I guess, my leaf or my vine, whatever you want to call it. So the vine, I did actually give it a little bit more of a pull just to make it more secure, so the burn actually came undone. So now I'm going to have a smaller coil, which is fine. Giving it a good pull test is a good idea, just to make sure if it gets grabbed by that, it's not going to come undone. So that's what the little vines look like attached to your main pumpkins. Can't wait to see them all.